Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. It's the second week of July and it's time for me to start preserving some garden and farmers market produce for winter. And my goal today is to make and can vegetable stock. I also want to freeze the corn that you and I purchased at HomeQuest Farm the other day. And I want to harvest garlic. And the first thing we're going to do is get started on the vegetable stock. Now I'm going to make a lot of vegetable stock, so I'm going to use both my usual stock pot plus the Instant Pot. Instant Pot is a pressure cooker. And I have my scraps, my veggie scraps that I freeze, and in they go. So I have onion skins and leeks and parsley, and I don't know what else in here. All good stuff. And I'm going to divide this between or among the two pots. And I have more parsley and some carrots in this bag. I actually have carrots from last summer's garden. I'm going to add them. I scrubbed them really well, but I don't have to peel them because they were organically grown. And I just roughly chop them. What I don't put in vegetable stock are things like broccoli or cauliflower because they have a very strong flavor and they can make the stock taste bitter. Oh, and I have a bunch of the green tops from the leeks we used the other day. It was when we made that Nigella Lawson chicken and pea tray bake. And of course I cleaned those tops really well. More carrots. In you go. And for extra color, I'm going to add a red onion with the skin on. And I did wash this onion really well. And you can go right here, and you can go right there. And the paper that fell off the onions can go into the pots. And I have 2 extra onions here, but I don't think I need them. So now I need to add water to the pots. Now, the veggie stock that I'm making in my stock pot will need to simmer for a good hour, but the veggie stock I make in my Instant Pot, since it's a pressure cooker, will only need from 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm not adding any salt or pepper to my stock because I like to add those seasonings when I actually go to use the stock. Let me add water to this. In you go. And I forgot, I also have a bunch of thyme leaves on their stems that I can add to each of these pots. I like the taste of thyme in my vegetable stock. I'm going to move my Instant Pot over here so it's not taking up room on my workstation. I'm going to set you at high pressure for, some people say 15 minutes. I'm going to do 20 minutes. A little cleanup, and then I want to get cracking on that corn. My goal is to freeze the corn. By the way, in the previous video, we used some of that corn to make a Mexican street corn salad. And I beg you to watch that video and then immediately make the salad because it was one of the best things. It was perhaps the best thing I have ever tasted in my life. So at HomeQuest Farm, I bought 24 ears of corn It was $8 a dozen. And I used 6 of those ears for the Mexican street corn salad the other day. So by my math, I should have 18 ears remaining. And that's what we're going to process and freeze. And if you watch the Mexican street corn video, you know that I put the ears of corn in their husk in the microwave for 4 to 5 minutes. And then I squeeze the corn out of the husk and it comes out clean without any silk attached. It's a really cool method. So you go into the microwave. I only do 2 ears at a time in the microwave, so this is going to take a while. So I will come back when I've got most of the corn done. Need to wear gloves for this job because the corn is quite hot. So I cut off the stem end. I have a bucket over here because I save all of the husks for compost. And then I squeeze from the tip. You see that? The corn is coming out without any strands of silk attached. Beautiful. This corn smells just wonderful. Corn is another of my favorite fragrances from childhood. It's the scent of summer, along with strawberries and beets and other things. I am still amazed at how well this method works. And I discovered that I could put 3 or even 4 ears of corn in the microwave at a time and just increase the minutes to like 5 to 6 minutes. All microwaves are different, so you have to do a bit of experimenting. And I have tried to grow corn in my garden, but it just never performed very well for me. Also, it does take a lot of room. So I prefer to let my local farmers grow the corn for me. And I'm more than happy to support my local farmers. Last one. And I am not only getting beautiful corn to preserve for winter, I'm also getting much needed organic matter for my compost. And that compost will be used to feed my gardens. So nothing goes to waste. Veggie scraps for veggie stock, corn husks for compost, corn husks and many other things. I'm going to let this corn cool for a few minutes and then I will cut off the kernels. So now my corn has cooled. We can start removing the kernels. They are not generals, they are kernels. What I do is put a towel, perfectly clean towel, on my work surface, and then I use a very sharp knife. Well, I stand the corn on the cut side so it lays flat, and off come the kernels, and they don't fly everywhere. And my corn cob too can be used for compost. And that's my Instant Pot telling me that the vegetable stock is ready. I'm going to let it do a natural pressure release for about 15 minutes. You can actually use corn cobs in your vegetable stock if you like. I just didn't want a corny background note in my stock. Here's the nice thing about cutting the kernels on a towel, just breaking them up a bit here. You can take the towel, and simply pour the kernels into a bowl. Well, you saw me do this in the last video. And back to work. Last one. Break it up. And let's see. Now, I think this is a 5-quart bowl, and we have almost 5 quarts here. And that was from 18 ears of corn. I'm going to get cleaned up, and then I think I want to flash freeze this. So I have a couple of baking trays here. I'm going to line them with clean kitchen towels. Need a spoon. Yeah, I don't know if this is a 5-quart bowl. I was merely guessing. Now the reason I'm flash freezing is so that the corn can freeze in a single layer. And then when I either bag it or vacuum seal it, the corn will not be all clumped together. Although I don't know how important that is. But I can tell you that this will be enough corn for my 2-person household for probably a year, because we do not eat corn every day. Although now that we have local corn on hand in the freezer, we might eat it every day, or certainly more frequently than we normally would if I had to go to the store to buy frozen corn. And of course, there is absolutely nothing wrong with store-bought frozen corn. This will be enough corn to make creamed corn and corn fritters and maybe chili with corn. And it's also enough corn to make that fantastic Mexican street corn salad that you've heard me mention far too many times. I can't help it. It was just so good. And into the freezer they go. My vegetable stock is done. I've just turned off the heat. So let's head up to the garden to harvest the garlic. If the garlic is too wet, because we've had a lot of rain lately, we won't be able to harvest it today. We will just have to look. We had a lot of storms here recently. In fact, I think we even had a tornado. So I haven't seen this garden for a few days. I can dump my compost on the compost heap. And here is the garlic. Let's see what we have. Small, but not too shabby. This is an onion. This is an onion. This is garlic. Better medium to small garlic than no garlic. But it is getting hot out here. Now, garlic needs to cure in the shade and in a well-ventilated location. So I'm going to actually pull this table into the shade, and then we can lay the garlic out. This is a mesh table, so there's air circulation both above and below the garlic. And then, if there's any threat of rain, I will move this garlic to the racks, the shelves in the slatted shelves in my grow room. I will also brush off the loose dirt, but I certainly will not wash the bulbs because they need to dry. This is not too shabby a harvest. And of course, we will process all of this garlic in probably 2 weeks or maybe a month. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm really sweating out here, but I wanted to mention that if you have not yet ordered your garlic and you'd like to grow garlic, you need to do so really no later than mid-July, because boy, it disappears online very quickly, especially if you were looking for a certain variety. And I tend to always grow hardnut garlic because it produces what are called garlic scapes, and the scapes are as delicious as the garlic itself. And in fact, you and I bought a bunch of garlic scapes at HomeQuest Farm the other day when we bought the corn, and I need to process those scapes. And I don't know if we will get to that today. Now let's go into the house where I can cool off. Boy, it feels good to have that garlic harvested. So now my stock has cooled enough, the one in this pot anyway, so I do want to strain it. And I'm probably going to need many bowls for this. Many bowls and lots of refrigerator space, because I plan to let this cool overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to pressure can it. Bowls, bowls. All of the vegetable scraps that remain in the pot have already given off all of their flavor and perfume. So this is yet more fodder for the compost. And this is the stock that I made in the Instant Pot. And boy, the stock smells just wonderful. So I can fit a little more in this bowl. And I think we can fit quite a bit of the stock in this bowl. Or this jug, rather. Well, I wanted to make a lot of vegetable stock, and it appears that I did. Now, I'm going to let all of the stock cool, as I said, to room temperature, and then I will cover it and pop it into the refrigerator overnight, and then tomorrow we will pressure can it. What else do we need to do tomorrow? We will bag up the corn, and I think I will process those garlic scapes. And right now I am going to go into the air-conditioned music room and work on memorizing the second movement of Bach's Italian Concerto. It's 4 pages long. I have 2 pages memorized, so I have 2 more to go. I hope you are having a pleasant day, and I will see you back here tomorrow morning. Hello again and good morning. We are going to have fun today. We will pressure can the vegetable stock we made yesterday. We need to vacuum seal the corn that we froze yesterday. I want to make pesto from the basil in my garden that we can either freeze or use today. And we're going to make hamburgers on the electric Cuisinart griddler. So this is the stock that I let cool to room temperature yesterday, and then I covered it and popped it in the refrigerator overnight. And I do need to bring it to a simmer before we can start the canning process. And I hope that these two Dutch ovens provide enough room for all of this stock. So I've just put a paper towel in this strainer because I have bits of thyme leaves in this stock that I want to filter out. Even though I did strain the stock yesterday, but I did not use a filter. And we can bring this to a simmer on the stovetop. So my 17-quart Pesto digital canner is on the table over here. And my jars are clean, my lids and bands are clean. And with this canner, since it's the larger size, I can actually can 13 pints of vegetable stock in one go because I can double deck the jars according to the manual. Pressure canning is still new to me, but I am really enjoying the process. According to the canner manual, vegetable stock requires 20 minutes of pressure canning. So I can only heat 6 of my jars in the pressure canner. So I'm going to heat the remaining 7 jars in the oven. So my stock is hot. My jars are hot. You need to heat the jars so that they don't crack when you add hot liquid to them. And with this vegetable stock, we are to fill the jars, leaving 1 inch of headspace. The stock smells terrific. And these jars can go into the canner. This will be the first layer. So this next deck will have 7 jars. We are ready for batch number 2. I think I'm going to have more than 13 pints. So all of my stock is in the canner, except for this last bit, which would not fit. So I'm going to put this in a quart-sized jar and either refrigerate it or freeze it. If I forgot to mention it, I love vegetable stock for rice. And of course, I love it for soups and stews. And this vegetable stock is so delicious, I could probably drink it just as it is. Well, that worked out just right. I'm going to let this cool to room temperature, and then I can put my leak-proof lid on it. And I'm going to get cleaned up, and then we will tackle the corn. I love this digital counter because it counts down and tells me when it's time to put the regulator on. There we go. And so the regulator is on. And while we're waiting for the vegetable stock to can, I've been sealing my vacuum seal bags. I don't know how many bags I'm going to need. And here is the corn that we froze yesterday. And I have to tell you, it feels very nice to be working with something cold as opposed to something hot. It's a very hot day today. Maybe 1.5 to 2 cups is enough for 2 servings of corn. So that's how I'm going to package this. Turned out I had just the right number of bags. Here's the last one. Et voila! I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bags of vacuum sealed corn. I just pulled one of my vegetable freezer tubs out. I still have green bell pepper from last year's garden. I still have diced carrots from last year's garden. And because they were vacuum sealed, they're still perfectly fresh. And I can add all of the corn to this container. I'm going to pop this into the freezer, do a little cleanup, and then we can make some pesto. Well, we certainly are accomplishing a lot of winter food preservation projects. And the next one, we're going to make pesto from the gorgeous garlic scapes that we bought the other day at HomeQuest Farm. And you might recall that I froze these scapes and I've just washed them and thawed them, and now I just need to roughly chop them. And if you have never had garlic scape pesto, you must. I think it is my favorite pesto of all. That and chive pesto. I turned my sister and her boyfriend onto garlic scape pesto several years ago, and now they make it every summer at this time when garlic scapes are available. Now, garlic scapes are the curly stems that emerge from hardneck garlic. And where I live, we plant hardneck garlic in October, and then we harvest the scapes usually late June or early July. And then we harvest the garlic heads that are underground, usually in mid-July. Garlic scapes taste like garlic, except they don't have that stinging bite of raw garlic. Now, the ingredients for garlic scape pesto are really easy. You need the scapes, olive oil, almonds, and if you're not planning to preserve it, like to freeze it, then you would add Parmesan cheese. I hope I'm not overfilling my food processor. And chop these up. You also need to plug in the gadget. And I want to add a handful, or maybe 2 handfuls of almonds. And these are the organic raw sliced almonds that I buy at Tierra Farm. They are excellent. I also want to add a little salt. More chopping. And then I'm going to add extra virgin olive oil through the feed tube while I run the machine. I'll scrape down the bowl. Now the reason I didn't add Parmesan cheese to this batch is because the cheese doesn't freeze that well in this pesto. So I prefer to add it when I'm going to serve the pesto. Lizette is here. I want her to have a taste. Oh, so good.
Oh, this is so wonderful.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is indescribably wonderful. I mean, there are no words.
This would be yummy on fish.
On fish, yes. And on chicken. And on hamburgers, which we are going to make for dinner. So I have 3 half pints of garlic scape pesto. And then I'm going to go ahead and add Parmesan cheese to the remaining pesto because I want to enjoy it with my hamburger tonight. I can add some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to transfer this to a bowl. Screw on lids. These can go right into the freezer. This I'm going to cover and put in the refrigerator, and then we will enjoy it with our dinner, which we're going to make just as soon as I clean up. So when my friends Vicky and Alban asked me if I wanted Alban's late mother's panini press, I said yes. And then that panini press sat in my backup pantry for 3 or 4 months. And then I figured, I should use it. So I started researching the gadget, and it turns out it's not just a panini press. It's called the Griddler, and it's made by Cuisinart. And it has, let me show you. It has a grill on the top and the bottom, and you can adjust this so that it will open flat like this. And the griddles come out, and you have a flat surface over here. Wait, this is for grilling. This is for what? This is the grill. Okay. I wanted to find out if a lot of people had used this and if they liked it. So I went to Amazon and I read reviews. There was not one bad review for this gadget. And I have this set to medium high. And I select the grill feature. And I'm going to let this preheat for a few minutes. And while the griddler is preheating, I'm going to toast a couple of English muffins, which unfortunately are not my own homemade English muffins. They're store-bought, but they're fine. So I have not made a panini in this machine yet, but I have made hamburgers several times. And it cooks hamburgers to perfection very, very quickly. 6 minutes. Oh, and I do want to spray a little non-stick spray on this. Close the top. I'm going to wash my hands, then I need to fetch some lettuce from the garden. So I have rinsed and dried my lettuce leaves. It's been so hot here that almost all of the lettuce has bolted. When the temperatures finally cool down again, I will plant more lettuce seeds. And I am not having ketchup or mayonnaise or mustard on my hamburger. I am having the glorious green garlic scape pesto. Oh, these hamburgers look wonderful after 6 minutes. And I can't show it to you right now, but there is this little tray on the side that you can pull out. All of the fat drips into that tray. So this little griddler is super easy to clean. And I'm not trying to sell this product. I'm not sponsored by Cuisinart, but I will put a link to this griddler in the description box below in case you want to check it out. I have some lechuga lettuce on my hamburger. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add salt and pepper. I also forgot to turn this off. Pinch of pepper for each hamburger patty. Do I want to cut this in half? No. And I think we should enjoy this hamburger outside on the porch. Who needs mayonnaise or mustard or ketchup or barbecue sauce when you have garlic scape pesto? So let's look at everything we preserved for winter in this episode. I think we got a good start. We preserved 13 pints plus 1 quart of vegetable stock. We made 3 half pints, or we preserved 3 half pints of garlic scape pesto, plus I have extra for fresh eating. And we preserved what I believe is a year's supply of wonderful, fresh sweet corn. This will probably last us a year because we don't eat corn every day. And if you enjoyed today's episode, I hope you will subscribe and click the like button. Also, please post a comment below because I love hearing from you. I will have another video on Friday and I hope you will watch. And until then, please treat yourself very, very well. I can't wait to see you again. Bye for now, friends.